Hello, everyone. Not a live stream today. I'm waiting until I have better internet to do that. Currently have moved over to Vietnam. Um, to save some money. Nice place to be. A little tired of Denver, so we're moving on. Speaking of moving on, let's talk about Bitcoin. Now, as we have predicted, Bitcoin is in a long, slow, tired, downward crawl. That's what we've been saying for the past few months. That's what's continued to happen, right? Because up here in the higher time frames, we've had active mean reversion. And with that active mean reversion, you tend to just go sideways. So really not exciting. What we should talk about, though, is if there's any movement on the lower time frames. Spoiler alert, it's not going to be very fun down here either. Recently, we had this little spike downwards, and then we had this nice little cross up. That would have been a great long right there. Just a macro counter trend position, just to mean reversion, and immediately mean reverted. Clean and simple. We've been doing this repeatedly. If you feel like trading these cycles right now, I highly recommend you do so. Because we have these big volatile moves downward, and then price recovers because there just isn't enough force to push down, and there isn't really enough force for price to recover beyond a return to equilibrium, which is what our mean reversion is. So we just go back, and we touch the mean, and we go back and we touch the mean. So it's really tired and simple. It's good. Now let's answer your questions. Let's take a look at BALY. Bally's Corporation. Oh, goodness. So I'll start out by saying these huge gaps, I don't like to trade them because they're going to generate artifacts in your 3-wave PM. For instance, this is a big old zero value down here. We don't like zero values because it completely screws with the scale of the rest of our periods. So, this is obviously a fundamental event. It's not driven by technical analysis, so you would need to look at the underlying values of the stock in order to get a good gauge on this. These indicators are not going to do that for you. Next up, let's take a look at Sol, which purportedly is performing better than F. I might be inclined to believe that if I see it. I'm assuming you've been looking at the Bitcoin pairing, or excuse me, the USD pairings. The Bitcoin pairing is painfully neutral for the last year. We have the slow tapered mean reversion, but it's already expired, so that's not a viable signal. On the lower time frames, we have very little to go off on because there's no significant expansion in the direction. So quiet chart. Take a look at Litecoin. Dude, no matter how many times you say Litecoin, it's not going to change. You just zoom out on Litecoin. Just, come on. Years. It has done nothing but do this until the founder of Litecoin was over here. Like, oh yeah, it's just really overpriced. And then it's just slowly drowned since then. I'm not interested. Like, you would need a serious paradigm shift for anything meaningful to happen on this chart. Let's take a look at BCH. Oh, possible short. I should have read your full comment. Yeah, no, don't short it either because you really neutraled out. Like, the volatility is just so low right now. I don't see a reason to trade this. This is like sell-off noise. If there's a big reversal, you're going to have pivots to decide on then. But for now, it's just not worth it. Okay, next up, let's take a look at Link. Happy to look at Link for you. Yeah. The bag holder's taper. Very nice. So Link likes to get volatile, which is good. We have this nice little low volatility period here. And it does look like we're setting up a mild floor for ourselves. That's very just based on the levels, not the indicators. So take that with a very, very large grain of salt. This is more intuition than a signal because these indicators pretty much tapered off on the higher time frames. Lower time frames are reading heavy compression. So this is not a signal. This is a judgment call on my part, which you should not take to heart. But I would expect this, based on my experience trading with Blink, to swim down a bit and then have another leg up and then do a loop-de-loop, you know. Okay. Looks pretty good. Cool. Well, I'm happy to answer your questions. I gotta get to bed. I'm still dealing with the time zone changes. Okay. You all have a beautiful week.